Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me. It's an
Yeah,
honor. Thank
of
you.
course. Of course. So did you get a chance to train today?
I actually took a rest day today.
Okay. Okay. Is this like
Yes,
is this usually like your rest day today or
it
is
is
it?
not. It is not. I started prepping January 1st
Mhm,
because I decided on short notice to do the Arnold to jump into that show. And now I'm still prepping for nationals.
mhm.
And it's just been a long prep.
Yeah.
So usually I take a rest day on Sundays. And yesterday I told my trainer and my coach, which my trainer is someone that I train with 5 days a week, and my
Mhm.
coach is I am that I needed a break, just physically and mentally, and that was like perfect today because I got to rest, I got to sleep,
Mhm.
and I feel just refreshed and so much better. It was just what I needed. So.
Do you find it better to schedule rest days or is it you like this better where you just take it when you need it?
This is unusual for me. So normally my Sunday is my rest day. That's my day, with family, day
Mhm.
for church. So that's my dedicated day. But
Mhm.
this is sort of unusual to do it.
Yeah.
But I felt like I really needed it. So
Are you
it was the right call.
where are you originally from, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. So originally from Switzerland.
Oh, okay,
Um,
Switzerland. Is
yeah.
that
So actually born in Swaziland, Africa, raised in Switzerland, but lived in North Carolina for over 20 years. And right now I'm actually in Mexico.
okay? Are you in Mexico to train or just?
I'm just spending the winter months here, or now spring,
Hmm.
and training. Yeah, training
Gotcha,
slash
gotcha.
working. Yeah.
So you said this was a long prep for the Arnold, right?
Uh-huh.
What what makes it a long prep? Is it just the time or is it just a difficult prep altogether?
It's only a long prep because I decided to do the Arnold on short notice.
Hmm.
Because otherwise, right around now is when I would start prep for nationals.
Hmm.
So I've been lean, and stayed lean, since the Arnold was last weekend of February, and we're now mid-April. So it's been a long time of. I mean, my weight has gone up a little bit, of course, but I'm still relatively lean.
Sure. You
Yeah.
look, I mean, just looking at your Instagram, you look pretty like you stay lean throughout the year. In your off season, do you just try to stay as lean as possible, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, this was my first off season without a coach, and I intentionally did not want to gain 15, 20 pounds. So I was, 8 to 10 pounds over stage weight, and I found that to be a lot more manageable versus the whole, going
Yo-yoing,
really
yeah.
high and then dropping low, and yeah.
That's for me, that's like to my clients, that's what I usually recommend. I mean, I think in the off season, you do need a certain amount of weight, like to add a little
Sure,
bit of weight, but
sure,
I think people take it way too far.
right,
They add
yeah,
way more than they need, and then
right,
what you have to do now is cut all that body fat off. It makes for a
exactly,
very stressful prep, you know?
exactly, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. What's the I guess my next question would be, how did you get into working out and training? Was this, I don't think of, you said Switzerland was where you're from?
Uh-huh,
I don't
uh-huh.
think of Switzerland as being a mecca of bodybuilding. Or, so, you know, like where did you get this desire to compete, bodybuilding, compete?
So I grew up with sports actually. Did not grow up with bodybuilding, of
Mhm,
course.
mhm.
I was actually a competitive, believe it or not, table tennis player in Switzerland. My
That's
dad was a coach. I was actually a ranked player. I was ranked number two in Switzerland as
Oh,
a
wow.
kid. But then when I moved to the US in my 20s, um, my lifestyle, everything changed. In Europe, you're always walking,
Hmm.
walking to around town, walking to public transportation. You're always on your feet.
Yeah.
Whereas in the US, you get into your car and
Yeah.
you use transportation. So
Mhm.
I gained weight, and then at age 30, I had my son. And then even after having him, I never really lost the weight. So at one point, I was close to 210 pounds. and my son was almost 7 years old, I want to say. And I
Mm.
was like, okay, I can no longer blame it on baby weight. Like, I have to do something. And I had watched a documentary, um, and decided to start juicing the next day.
Okay.
So it was very extreme, but got into juicing, lost the weight very, very quickly. But then I was very skinny fat. I lost not just, the weight,
Mhm.
I lost everything, muscle, everything.
Yeah.
And then had some friends that were into running and decided to start running, and quickly got addicted to, you know, very competitive. So running my first 5K or really racing it. And then from there, half marathon. And literally within a month, I was running a marathon.
So that's all it took, huh?
That's all it took.
Yeah. That's funny.
And then from there, of course, got injured because I was doing things too fast, too quick.
Hmm.
And then had friends that were doing triathlons. So decided, oh, like, cross train and start biking, and got pretty good and fast on the bike, and had to learn to swim. I always know how to breaststroke, but not how do you say in English, crawl.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, so then got into triathlons, started with shorter distances, and worked my way up to a full Ironman, 140.6 miles. And then from there, totally shifted lanes again and got into hiking, and did some 13ers and 14ers in Colorado, and then decided to, during COVID actually, to travel to Africa and climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And from there, I was ready for my next challenge. So I had a friend that turned 50 at the time, and I was like, wow, she looks amazing. And I'm doing all this cardio, and you can't even tell that I'm working out.
Hmm.
Now, granted, I was lean and fit, but felt like I had no muscle, and I wanted to look like this lady looked.
Hmm.
So I started educating myself, and then, started training. But it wasn't until probably 2 years in that I hired a nutrition coach. And that's when everything changed and clicked, when nutrition and working out,
Hmm.
um, when those both came together.
Well, so before we go on, when you say you were juicing, you're talking about actual juice, right? That's
Juice, yeah. So
yes,
I was,
okay.
I was mostly juicing organic vegetables,
Right.
really
Okay.
limited in fruit. But yeah, I was juicing every 2 hours, or drinking a juice every 2 hours.
Right.
Um,
So at what point did you decide that you wanted to step on stage? Because you got to the point where you started to work out, but like, there's a difference. There's a lot of people that work out and lift, but not everybody gets on stage. So what made you decide to do that?
Once the nutrition dialed in with everything else, and I saw changes in my body composition, I knew immediately that the goal was to step on stage. So I remember hiring a coach in the summertime, and we had set a goal to do a photo shoot that December and see what I look like, and then do my first show the following April. So it was about a 9 months process from when I decided I wanted to do this competitively, not just going to the gym and training.
What show were you preparing for your first show?
So my very first show was what was called WBFF.
Hmm.
So it was
I'm
more of
familiar
a,
with it. Yeah.
okay, fashion show. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So and then at some point, are you so at some point, I guess you decided to go to the NPC. Is that?
Yeah, after the show, I immediately knew that that format was not for me, and have some amazing mentors and guides that are IFBB pros.
Hmm.
Um, One of them is Helen Fritsch, and she said, "Oh, you would be great in NPC." So I, you know,
Was
learned what the difference is, and decided to switch over.
Was there something specific about the differences between WBFF and NPC that you found like you would fit better with NPC?
I found, for me personally, WBFF was a little too much. I don't know what the word is. There's too much show.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
And also, I found there was a lot of politics involved.
Mhm.
It was not clear cut. For example, in the NPC, there's rules and guidelines, black on white.
Mhm.
With WBFF, there's room for,
Like personal interpretation of,
I think so,
yeah, yeah.
because like I placed first in my division, and based on the rules and guidelines, it said that you would become a pro if you win your class.
Mhm.
But it also said, PS, unless the owner of the federation feels otherwise, or this
Right, right.
something along those lines. Don't hold me to it, but something along those lines.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I did not get my pro card. And whereas with the NPC, there is no wishy-washy. It's
Right.
either you meet what they're asking for, or you don't.
Yeah.
Um,
I do like the fact that the NPC and IFBB they have clear-cut criteria. I mean,
exactly.
it's a subjective sport.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
No matter
Yeah.
what, but I think
Right.
they do the best that you can
Yes.
do with that,
I agree.
and I think you see that now because like just thinking about the men's open, how you have, you know, you don't have one Mr. Olympia staying in there all the time. Now you're
Right.
really seeing the best people
Right.
win. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. And
I
I
can
think Tyler does an amazing job even summarizing after every show, why person A, B, C plays the way they did,
yeah, I think
so that people understand what they're looking for, what the criteria is.
yeah, I think that's very neat that he started doing that, to putting out the videos because there's no question anymore. This is
Right.
when people say, "Oh, what were the judges
Right.
thinking?" Well, that's
Right.
what they were thinking. Very
Right.
clear. So, yeah. So, did you know that you were going immediately into bikini, or were you thinking of any other divisions? Were you considering anything else? Figure or anything?
Initially, I wasn't sure if figure would be a better fit for me. But then I had asked several coaches, and they all said, no, your bikini, your shape is more suited for bikini, or they see me in bikini. And now that I know even better how to train specifically for bikini, um, my shape has definitely changed. Like I'm training with intention now, right? Versus 4 or 5 years ago, I was just training everything,
Right.
not with the mindset of, oh, I really need to focus on shoulders, glutes, small waist,
Mhm.
that kind of thing.
So what is your week, let's just say like a random week look like of training? Well, I'll just let you answer that if you can.
Yeah, so I have 3 lower body days, and
Mhm.
they're hamstring focused and glute focused. And then I have 2 shoulder days, and I have one back day,
Mhm.
a
Two
little bit
shoulder
of
day.
arms, two
Two,
shoulder days.
do you feel like you recover pretty well from that?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. There's
I
some
mean, the
people.
hardest is for me is to recover from hamstring, because we really push hard,
Hmm.
um, especially as a masters athlete. Another time when we get lean, if there's not enough muscle in the hamstring, you see those lines,
Hmm.
those rots, and the way to avoid that is to come in a little bit fuller, which means you got to have a little bit more muscle
Yeah.
on the bone.
Do you have trouble like some of the bikini athletes that I had, not all of them, but some of them tend to grow very quickly, so they have to kind of hold back.
Yeah,
Do you deal with that, or you can just go 110% without worrying about growing too much?
I would say I have great genetics. However, I am 5'9", so I'm tall. And that means it does take a little longer, especially with legs,
Mhm.
just to fill out my frame.
Got it. So for you, it's
Sure.
not that's not a concern. You can put your full effort into your training without being too worried about growing out of the
Correct.
division.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Correct.
And because the recovery aspect of like shoulders and things like that, there's two views. Some people think working out multiple times a week is not not a good idea because you don't
Right.
recover as fast. But I think it's person
Sure.
dependent. I think some people can get away with it and others can't.
Right. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So now you're training for you said the Arnold and then what was it? Nationals as well?
Yes, I finished the Arnold 2 months ago, and I'm training for nationals in July.
Nationals in July. So what's the goal? I know obviously the goal is always to come out on top, but
Right.
do you have other goals like top five, this or that, or is your goal just mainly to win and to get your pro card?
It really is. I mean, my first year competing at nationals, I placed top three. And then I did a show 2 weeks later and I placed top four.
Hmm.
So, now it's 2 years later, and my goal is definitely to take it home.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
to win that program.
Yeah. That's exciting then. Then
Yes.
you're really
Yes.
focused.
Yes.
What do you like to train in the mornings or in the evenings?
I train mornings. As I mentioned, I'm here in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, which everything is walkable, and I love that. It
Mhm.
really, helps with my lifestyle. So I do faster cardio in the morning, then come home, eat breakfast, and then I meet my trainer in the gym, and we go really hard for about 50 minutes to an hour. So
What does your cardio look like? Just walking?
right now it's just walking,
Mhm.
but I would say on average 20,000 steps of walking, so it's a lot. Um, and then, but again, right now I'm still far. I'm about 12 to 14 weeks out, 12 weeks from the first show, where I am weight wise right now. I don't have to drop a ton, so
Mhm.
walking for now is fine. Um, but like most women, I hold my weight in my lower body, so eventually I have to switch that walking into sprints,
Mhm.
walk, sprint, walk,
Well, I'm
just to get my
yeah.
intensity up, heart rate up. Yeah,
Well, I mean, 20,000 steps is a lot of steps. That's,
right, right,
somewhere around between 7 or 8 miles. That's a lot of
right,
miles. So,
right. Yeah,
me and my wife went to like you in the States. I live in an area where we use public transportation, or no, I'm sorry, not public. We have cars,
yeah,
and we don't use public transportation. So we went to
yeah.
visit New York,
Mm,
and I had one day where it was the highest day I had, but it was like 21,000 steps. I
yeah.
thought my legs were screaming because I'm just not used to it like that,
Right, right.
And so I
Yeah,
can imagine like walking 20,000 steps daily or several
yeah.
times a week. You're probably getting a good amount of cardio in.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So in the
Yeah.
morning, I do my, like I said, faster cardio. I walk to the beach, have my headsets on. I usually listen to an episode,
Hmm.
sometimes yours, or a podcast, and or a prayer or something.
Hmm.
And then I walk to the gym, I walk to the grocery stores. I'm always on the go, always on my feet. But it's great because it doesn't feel like I'm doing cardio per se, yet I'm
Right.
staying active for sure.
Yeah, I used to listen to a lot of music, but nowadays I do similar things. I'll
Mhm.
listen to podcasts. I'll try to
Yeah,
educate myself,
yeah,
use that time wisely. So
right,
it feels so much better, doing
right.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's your favorite exercise? Do you have a favorite?
That's a good question. Favorite exercise? Probably leg press.
Leg presses? Yeah. It's a good one. It's a good one. Do you squat?
I do squat, but I don't think that's my favorite.
No, no. I always have a love-hate relationship with legs. Like I
Yeah,
know it's gonna hurt, but I'm gonna feel good,
right.
afterwards, so
Absolutely. Yes, yes. Good burn.
that's funny. Um, so, you being in the NPC, looking for your pro card, I fully believe you'll get it, and I fully believe you'll be in the
Yeah,
IFBB very soon.
thank
What do
you.
You're welcome. What do you think about the layout of bikini right now in the IFBB? Do you like what you're seeing? Like who's at the top, who's, winning the shows? Do you think it's going the right direction?
Um, I do like bikini. I do like the more. muscular look,
Hmm.
the harder look, and it obviously has changed over the years.
Hmm.
Um, but I do like that. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I would say I'm
You're,
enjoying
you're
what I'm seeing. Yeah.
Yeah, you're happy with what you see. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm one of those people too. I like since I'm generally a person that enjoys a more muscular look, I've noticed that
Mhm.
in every division that I look at, the people that more excited to see are the ones that are a little bit more
Right.
muscular. And
Right.
so it's a personal bias of mine, but
Right.
I do like the fact that they're rewarding people that do have a good shape and have some muscle, but not too much, not
Right.
not to where
Right.
they're out of the
Right.
division. What do you think
Right.
about the fit model division? Have you heard about it?
Yes. So initially, what I didn't like about it was that one can become a pro because they announced it as an entry level division. And
Hmm.
to me, entry level should not equal pro. However, having seen some of the overall winners lately, um, they do look amazing, hands down. Like they have some good quality muscle on them. So now that we're seeing where the trend is really going or what the judges are looking for, I've maybe changed my
Hmm.
outlook a little bit on that.
Yeah, I could see that. What do you think about the fact, like, so if that with what you're saying, they have good shape and so forth. Do you think there's fear of them kind of bleeding into the bikini look? Like, do you think it's going to become problematic where both divisions are going to look too similar?
I don't think so. I don't
No.
think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think there's a pretty distinct difference between the two, and I do like that they cannot cross over. I wish that was true for all divisions because you go to some of the regional shows and you see athletes winning bikini wellness figure. I'm like, how are they competing in all three and then winning or placing in all three?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think what happens is they'll come in with a good physique,
Right,
but not necessarily in any particular division. So they go and
right,
compete, and then the judges are like, well, they're not quite in this division. That's not quite the
right,
look, but they're better than everyone else. So
right. So
then
say, and
then
it
when
depends on who shows up, right?
Right,
So
right. So it's a really strange position to be in for the judges because technically that person is not really wellness, is not really
right,
bikini, but what do
right,
you but what do you do? Do you not give it
right,
to him? And so
right, right.
it's tricky. It's tricky. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's where I wish they maybe there was just one. Like you have to decide, and you just sign up for what you or your coach think is
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
What you
Yeah.
feel best.
Do you foresee yourself go competing in another division in the future or no? You're gonna stay here.
The only thing that I would be so excited about if they came up, have you heard of that division? I think they have in Korea. It's like a sports model where you wear your sports bra and tennis shoes. You don't have to wear your heels.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Um, I can't remember what federation that is, but it is like super cool. Like those girls are very muscular, just as muscular as a bikini, if not more, but they wear sports bra and tennis shoes. I think it's the coolest thing.
Okay, I'm looking it up now. Yeah, I definitely see it. I see it
Okay.
here. Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
yeah. I think not being in heels would persuade even more of the general population and get them interested in the sport.
Do you have a hard time with doing the heels?
Like most of us are tomboys. Like we're in the gym lifting heavy shit, excuse me. And then you expect us to wear 5-inch heels. It's the
Yeah.
total opposite of what we do every day.
It's it's
So
it's funny because I'll see some girls that are like lifting, I'll see their Instagrams and they're lifting hard and they're sweating and
right,
they're
right,
screaming, and then I see them
right,
on stage and they're like super
right.
feminine. It's just so funny. But
Yeah,
is this the same person? Seems different.
right, right. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, that's pretty cool. There's always like new things coming out in this industry.
Right.
Do you like the idea of like more divisions, the more the better, or do you prefer keeping like a hardcore, like specific amount of divisions and not add any more?
I think in life, change is inevitable. I do think we probably need something similar to a fitness division for men's, because even men's physique has become pretty extreme.
Big, yeah, they're
Um,
big.
they're big. um, and
Yeah.
again with change, I think change is always needed.
Yeah. I feel like any division they add over time, they just continue to become bigger because I think like
Right,
people just continue to grow, they continue to lift heavier, and
right,
everyone keeps getting bigger. I mean, you look at women's physique, from Dayla Lynn Bailey, who's the first women's physique champ,
right,
to now, they look completely different. So
right, right. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. So are you gonna finish out your prep there in Mexico, or are you planning to go somewhere else and finish it out somewhere else?
Yeah. No, planning on staying here till the beginning of July and then flying to the US.
Are you gonna like cut it close where you're gonna go
Yeah.
right into the
Yeah.
show? Are
Yeah.
you concerned about water retention from the flight, anything like that?
A little bit. I try to make sure I really hydrate well. It's only a
Mhm.
2 hour flight, so it's not
Oh,
too
okay.
bad.
Not too bad.
And then some compression socks usually help, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so two
Well,
hours is not too bad.
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
I was gonna let you know if someone wanted to reach out to you for more podcasts or any kind of assistance with like, nutrition training, what would be the best way for them to reach out to you?
Easiest way would be on Instagram, and it's Fitness by Annabelle.
Awesome. I also was gonna say I've been to Switzerland
Oh,
before,
wow.
but I went to a place called I think it's like a tourist area where people go to ski Zermatt.
Yeah,
Have
yeah,
you
yeah. I was just there with my son in February, went skiing.
Okay, yeah, yes.
Yes,
I've been there. It was a beautiful place. Beautiful
it is.
place.
It
Yeah,
is. It
yeah.
is.
It's been a long time. I want to go back, but
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All my family is still there.
Mhm.
My son just spent his senior high school there, high school
Nice.
year overseas. So yeah, yeah.
Nice.
I always love going back, seeing my parents there.
Awesome. Do your kids, I know we were about to finish up the podcast, but I was going to ask you, do your kids have an interest in athletics as well, or not so much?
I have an 18-year-old, just one, and he plays basketball.
Okay, great.
He is 6'8", so super tall, and he definitely understands now the importance of both nutrition, what I've
Hmm.
been teaching and preaching, and bodybuilding. And
Yeah.
because with him being so tall, being strong and having some muscle really matters. Like even in basketball, the sport has evolved so much. These athletes are, you look at what a player looked like in 1980, 90, 2000, and now they look
They're,
like bodybuilders
yeah, they're
almost,
tall bodybuilders. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. So yeah, he definitely he's in the gym with me and he's definitely working hard too. So yeah.
But I mean, you've set a good example for him,
Thank you. Yeah.
especially keeping up that that kind of lifestyle, healthy lifestyle throughout like each, decade is because sometimes people
Yeah.
will work out in their 20s and 30s and then that'll be
Right.
it. And it's
Mhm.
important to see people that you don't have to stop. You can keep
Right.
progressing
Right.
as you get older. So,
Absolutely. And also like, turning 40 or 50 does not mean you have to be unhealthy or
absolutely.
overweight. Like I'll be
Yeah.
50 next year and I coach a lot of women in their 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
And it's like such an aha moment that wow, like I have several that look the best they've ever looked in
Yeah.
their 50s. It's not, things can change. But we cannot blame it on metabolism. Fact is, we are not as active as we
Hmm.
probably were in our teens and 20s, right?
Right.
Because and we eat differently. So, prioritizing protein and all that good stuff, it matters, but it is definitely doable.
Yeah.
and important.
Yeah, I see. Sometimes I'll see people and two people, and they'll be both be in their like 50s or early 60s or
Right,
whatever, and they'll
right,
look completely different.
right.
One person will look like, they're a little older, but
Sure,
they look great. They're
right,
healthy, they look in shape, they look attractive. And then another person looks like they're 1 foot in the grave. And I'm like,
right.
that's a difference of lifestyles. So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yes.
for
I
sure.
agree.
Well, anyways, thank you so much, and I
Yes, thank
really
you.
appreciate
Appreciate
it.
it.
You take care.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. Bye bye.